Doesn't this kind of look like the shotgun from Constantine? What's up, YouTube? Braver here, and as you can see in the description down below, I got my hands on a Doomlands 2169 double dealer, and this is one of the blasters from Toy Fair. I was very, very excited about when I heard about it. So what this basically is a double-sided Rampage Retaliator that is got a nice hefty grip on it, which is, I gotta say, very comfortable. A stock, which we will get to in a moment, and something that looks like it's out of Constantine. So, anywho, the 2169 double dealer is a spring-powered, clip-fed blaster. It has two clip wells, which is its gimmick, obviously. It is a burst fire blaster, which means it's firing both barrels at the same time. Now, where the rough cut can also be considered a burst blaster, because you can fire two shots at once, unlike the rough cut or the barrel break, which was another, technically burst blaster, this does not have a stage trigger. So you cannot slowly half pull the trigger to fire one barrel and fire the other. This is a pull the trigger as soft or as hard as you want, you're tripping the catch, and both barrels are going. Now, this is in the Doomlands blaster, so it does have all the colorings and markings of something from that particular line. You have the yellow-orange main body, the bright orange accents, the gray and black on the grips and randomly in the blaster. However, if you'll notice on this side and on this side, there is no clear window to see the internals of the blaster. To, I guess, make up for that, they decided to make the clips transparent along with the jam door. Now, it doesn't really show you the internal workings of the blaster, but it's still showing you internal workings, so technically it still fits the motif. To prime it, handle, back, forward, trigger, just like any Springer blaster. And these are 12-round clips with little doodads on the bottom of it. Other than that, this is basically this. It just looks cooler in my opinion. Now, you can use any clips with this. So, if you want it to be just Mr. Super Wacky, you could take a 6-round clip, put it in here, and then take a 35-round drum, put it in here, and it will work totally fine. However, one thing you would take into consideration is you got 6 shots out of here, 35 shots out of here. You're going to be running out of ammo on this side a lot quicker than on this side. So, if you are going to use this, my personal suggestion would be is make sure the clips are the same size so you're not dry firing one side. But you got the air restrictors in here anyway, so it's not like it's going to harm the blaster if you dry fire. I'm going to address the elephant in the room now, and that is this, which is the stock. And the reason I'm addressing this now rather than later on is because this has been the contention of a lot of people within the nerfing community and in reviews already, saying that this is very uncomfortable, it's very cumbersome. It does what it's supposed to do, which is hold magazines, but overall it's not a very comfortable feature. I will agree with them to a point. Yes, if you hold the blaster like this, you see here it's right on my arm. Or if you hold it like this, choked up with it, and again, it's rubbing on my arm. Or if you try and shoulder it all the way up here, yes, it is a very, very uncomfortable stock. However, instead of holding it like this, if you just put your arm out ever so slightly, your arm never touches this. And therefore, doesn't rub up on anything. Because my playstyle with something like this isn't going to be, I'm going to shoulder it. This is going to be something I'm going to hip fire. And if I'm hip firing, my arm is going to be on the side of the stock because I'm pulling it in underneath my arm like this, or I'm going to be holding it out in front of me, and at this point, this is going to be very natural for me, so, again, it's not going to bother me too much. You know, whether it's down here, up here, 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 this is how I'm going to hold it, and at that point, it doesn't rub up against my wrist or my arm, and it doesn't cause me any ill-gotten grief, so to speak. But we'll see what we can do with this when we look at the internals, which I think I've covered everything on. The externals, the front grip. Some people are going to see the guard and be like, oh, this is going to crush my hand. I have really big hands. I'm 6'4". I have big meat hooks. My hand fits very comfortably in here. Even on the back grip, or on the grip itself, actually. Again, my hand fits fine on here. It is a comfortable blaster to hold, ignoring any issues with the stock. But we'll see what we can do with that, because coming up now is going to be the internals. We're going to see what we can do with this modding potential, and then I'll give you my final thoughts on this wonderment of wonders. Okay, so before I actually unscrew this, there is something I have noticed that I'm not too happy with, and, you know, some people may look at this as definitely a downside, but I'm going to reserve judgment until fully the end. But if you look here in the clip well, you could see here that the plunger, not the plunger tube, your breech doesn't all the way seat forward into the front end of the blaster, like every other breech, like just about every other breech system. You can visibly see a gap here. That could be a very big turnoff for a couple of people who are looking at this blaster, but I mean, like I said, I'm going to see the internals of it. This could be something that could very well be fixed with brassing this, or, you know, something, or even just, if you overspring this thing, you might wind up not even needing, you know, the completeness for, not even 3 inches, so, but I'm going to jump cut here, and I'm going to unscrew this, and then we will get to the internals of this beast here. Okay, so everything is unscrewed now. A couple of them popped out. I was trying to keep as many in the blaster as I could. There's 14 body screws. There are 4 in this piece, but this is for the barrel system. You don't actually have to unscrew that to get to the internals here. So, but you do have to unscrew the stock. So I'm taking that part off. And it does look like on this side at least, the stock is separate. You can separate the stock. However, you're going to leave a bit of a gap back there. So you will have to wind up, blocking that off, and then like trim this piece off, which actually it looks like you can do pretty flat right here. Can you see? Yeah. Sorry, I just went to my camera to make sure I was looking at the right spot here. But yeah, if you are adamant about getting rid of the stock, it can be done. It does look like it is removable. If you're concerned about this curved piece here, you can actually cut that off right here and just like kind of sand that down so it is a flat spot. You do lose a screw port, but if you're that concerned about it, I really doubt you'd be wanting to cut it off anyway. But if you were concerned about it, it would just be like right there. So that can be flattened out, and just put a piece of polycarbonate or cut the shell up from the stock and just glue it in there, and bam, you got the stock all taken care of. Now, okay, so this wasn't as bad as I was expecting, but it was definitely a little more different. So it's a single plunger tube firing both of the breeches. You have the catch here. slam fire mech, along with what looks like possibly the trigger lock as well. The well, not trigger lock, but the slide lock. You do have your trigger spring, which keeps wanting to, looks like it pops out, but I don't want it to. Dart tooth here. You have your slide here, which, while it does look like it ratchets, it's just to kind of keep it from sliding back forward. So it's not a real ratchet, because obviously I can just do this and it releases. So it's not a gear system, it's just a little ratchet, so that's fine. So you can definitely put a stronger spring in here. Oh, the handles also looks like it is removable for painting. So if you want to remove the handle in stock and paint it up a different color but keep that gray, totally can do it. Now, removing the clip wells once they're in. I don't know how well you can see it because I really don't want to remove... Actually, you know what? I will remove the plunger system if I can. Just so we can also get a better look at that as well. So, if you're looking at removing the clip wells once they're in, much like the Raider, all you have to do is get a thin screwdriver, stick them in there, and basically unscrew the little clip things, or you can try just pushing the clips down and forcing it out. So, there's that. This is the spring, so, and it looks like it's a pretty standard spring, so I'm going to take probably the assumption that if Orange Mod works, or I'm sure there will be some aftermarket springs, you can definitely up it and it's not going to be a major issue or whatever. This is the plunger. Now, this does have a giant gap in the plunger tube itself because it has a guide rail. So the way it works is you have a guide rail here. The plunger's probably going to go all the way back here and then just go forward. Now, it seems to... Well, there are two little holes right there. So, definitely if you want to up the ante on this thing, you're definitely going to have to add a spring to it. Over and all, this is basically this is all the internals to the thing. It's 2 breeches, 1 plunger. That sounds like it should be a dirty video, and I don't suggest you looking for any. I strongly urge people not to go searching for things that sound of similar veins and venues of it. Please, for the love of God, don't ever do that ever. Okay, so kind of have like, you have a little guide here for the plunger, so that keeps it from wibbly wobbly, timey-wimey all over the place. The catch here, like I said, this is your slam fire mech. Yeah, so basically just to put it back together is you just kind of have to squeeze everything back into place, which I may wind up having to take the front off of it. Yeah, I'll do it the simpler way. I'll put the front here, slide that back ever so slightly. Damn, there goes the dart tooth. Slide that back ever so slightly, and look at that, the jam door is actually part of the front trigger assembly. Or not the front trigger assembly, the front plunger assembly. So, hey, there's that. And now we are going to... Oh! Crud. One moment. Okay, so now that that's back in place, put that back in place, put that back in place. Come on, fit, damn you. Aha, there we go. Okay, and then again, just lift that back up to release. Release. And it's released. Okay, so that's the internals of this thing. I'm sorry I kind of fumbled my way through it. But, I mean, overall, it's not as terrible as I expected, but you know what? It's not going to be the easiest thing to work with. So, I'm going to put this all back together, and I'm going to give you my final thoughts on what I think of the Doomlands Double Dealer. So, my overall thoughts on the Double Dealer. Overall, I do like this despite flaws. Now, going over the pros on this is you got pump action, you got 2 clips right here, and you also have a carrying stock, which no one likes, but I'm alright with it. The grips are comfortable. Performance is meh. You're not getting elite ranges out of it, but at least for the love of God, you're not getting end strike ranges. And truthfully, this is something I would most probably, depending on the game type, would much rather be a close quarters combatant with, rather than trying to get someone from across the field. Downsides are definitely the fact that the breaches do not completely close. That is, I'm not a big fan of that at all. The internals, you can work with them. There are some things that can be done. Like, you could probably put a stronger spring in there with minimal to no reinforcement. Definitely something from Orange ModWorks. Anything stronger than that, I would double check to make sure it can take the spring strength or the tolerance. As far as those breaches go, anyone who works well with brass could probably come up with a good modification guide to it. I don't have any brass, so I really don't have anything I could just, try out myself. But if I happen to come across any, I'll give it a shot. Why not? So there's that. And for those of you who are complaining about the stock, about how it's annoying, how it's terrible, blah, 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 and all that stuff, from what I saw internally, it's very easily remedied if you don't want the stock. You can get rid of it. You can chop down this little piece of orange bit, put a piece of clear or a piece of polycarb, or chop up the stock and use that to cover the hole in the back, and you're good to go. No more stock to bother you with. And if you still want to put something on there, if you can find an old end strike attachment or whatever, bolt it in, and boom, there you can put whatever stock you want on there. Last bit of contention I have on this thing is price point. Now, this is definitely going to turn people off on this one. This retails right now for $40 US. That is a steep price point for something like this. Because you're getting it more for the gimmick more so than performance. If you're looking for straight performance that you want to put some money into, go to Target, get for $35, you can get a long shot. And everyone knows the potentials of a long shot by now, hopefully. Unless you're new to the hobby. If so, hi, welcome. Go watch a long shot modification guide. And then come back. Hey, welcome back. Okay, so over and all, I like this. Not for $40, though. I'm definitely not getting a second one. If they drop this down to $30, or if it goes on sale for $30, I might consider picking up a second one. So I definitely have, the one to tinker with and screw around with, and the one that I can just play around with. If you can get it for $20, oh, by the love of God, buy this for $20. It will be worth the money at $20. But that's basically it. Oh, and one last thing. When I was closing this up, this was off camera, but I did want to make a note of it. If your dart tooth happens to come out, please make sure you put it in the correct orientation back in the blaster, because if not, nothing's going to close up right. But that's it for the Doomlands 2169 Double Dealer. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. What do you think about the Double Dealer? Do you like it? Does this look like that thing from Constantine, or is it just something I'm remembering wrong in my mind? Have you played around with it? Do you find it comfortable? Do you like the stock or not? Do you think my ideas for working around the stock work? And, just let me know what you think of the video overall. And if you happen to like this video, throw me a like and subscribe. And I will see you guys next time. Later.